Parliament is an archaic institution. We face many barriers of systemic sexism and practices that don't allow women to easily move into that space. I think, rules are one thing, but it's also about behavior. We can change rules, and that's happened slowly. But I think equally as important is changing the behavior. Part of breaking the barriers is breaking the barriers of these norms and stereotypes and the political culture that has, been around for so long. And it's not who we are. I was a political activist. I worked in Vancouver's downtown east side as a community organizer when I was 19 years old. And it was my own sort of awakening and looking for change and realizing that I had to come up against whether it was city hall or provincial or federal. And I think there was sort of a realization that maybe, I should run. I think if I could look back on what I contributed, I think it was an accomplishment of taking on really hard issues and making a contribution to bring them into the mainstream of political discourse and discussions, like stopping the prohibition and the criminalization of people who use drugs, working to end homelessness, working to draw attention for the missing and murdered women, many of whom were Indigenous. It was like pushing those issues that sometimes felt like pushing boulders uphill and getting attention, not only within my own political party, but also in Ottawa, and figuring out how to do that. And of course, now these issues are much better understood. I think that's what my role was to be, and maybe still is, was to take that stuff on and fight tooth and nail to make those issues be heard and to make them part of the mainstream. And in terms of coming out, again, it's not something that I planned in a terribly conscious way. I was actually debating. I was speaking on Sven Robinson's private members bill on same-sex marriage. And I was actually speaking and wanted to make a point about how I had been in a common law relationship with my partner, Bruce, for 24 years. And it seemed to me that it was so important that the state not be able to dictate, who you loved, who you married. And I was making that point, and I didn't terribly think about it when I said, and now I'm in a relationship with a woman. But the response I got was just really quite incredible. I heard from so many, particularly women, lesbians across the country. And so I realized then that it was a very important moment, not only for me personally, but also for the LGBTQ community. Sometimes it's very hard to make a decision when to leave politics, and some people really don't get it right, and they hang on and but I think it's important to have new voices come forward, and particularly BIPOC voices at this time. Our parliament does not reflect who we are as Canadians overall. So having those new voices come forward to me is very important. So I felt very good about making my own decision about when was the right time to leave.